In the depths of space, hidden behind a veil of stars and nebulae, an alien ship floated in silence. The ship was massive, a relic from a time when the universe was young. Inside, a group of ancient alien scientists observed a small blue planet, Earth. They had been watching humanity for thousands of years, curious about the species' progress, yet always under the belief that they were nothing more than a fleeting experiment. Celtron, the lead scientist of the expedition, stared at the images of Earth's surface displayed before him. His species had existed for billions of years, mastering every facet of biology and evolution. Yet, there was something about the humans that intrigued him. They were not like the other species the aliens had manipulated and guided in the past. Humanity was different. They fought harder, adapted faster, and evolved in ways that defied logic. Standing next to him, Nulak, his second in command, was less impressed. "Why do we continue to watch them?" Nulak asked, his voice a blend of irritation and indifference. "They're primitive. Their civilizations rise and fall like sandcastles washed away by the tide." Celtron glanced at his companion, his gaze thoughtful. "They are unpredictable," he replied. "In all our experiments, we have never seen a species evolve this rapidly without intervention. There's something unique about them." Nulak scoffed, dismissing the notion with a wave of his hand. "Unique? They are violent, chaotic, and weak. They lack the discipline to survive the trials of the universe. I say we leave them to their fate. They will destroy themselves soon enough." But Celtron couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. He turned back to the monitor, watching as humans went about their lives, building cities, discovering new technologies, and in many cases, fighting amongst themselves. They were indeed chaotic, but within that chaos, Celtron saw something remarkable: potential. "What if they don't destroy themselves?" Celtron asked quietly. "What if they evolve beyond what we've seen before? Wouldn't that be worth watching?" Nulak sighed, clearly uninterested in entertaining the thought. "They are an anomaly, nothing more. Let us not waste our time with them. There are other species, other experiments worth our attention." But Celtron wasn't convinced. He had seen enough over the years to know that humanity had something other species lacked, a resilience that bordered on defiance. And as he continued to watch, a growing unease settled in his mind. Humans were changing, faster than any species they had ever encountered. Something was happening on Earth, and Celtron intended to find out what. Nulak turned to leave, muttering under his breath about wasted time, but Celtron stayed, his gaze fixed on the planet below. He wasn't sure what the future held for humanity, but one thing was clear: the time to merely observe was coming to an end. The humans were evolving, and soon the galaxy would have to reckon with the consequences. On Earth, beneath the gleaming surface of an advanced research facility hidden deep within the mountains, Dr. Elara Pace worked tirelessly on a project that could change the course of human history. Her team of scientists was on the brink of a discovery that would push the boundaries of what was thought possible. They were developing a technology capable of manipulating energy at a molecular level, a breakthrough that could allow humans to alter their environment with mere thought. Elara leaned over the glowing interface, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We're so close," she muttered, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she analyzed the latest data. "If this works, we can reshape the world." Her assistant, Marek, looked on with a mixture of awe and concern. "Do you really think we should be doing this? I mean, this kind of power, it's dangerous. We're talking about rewriting the rules of physics." Elara paused, her eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. "Yes, Marek, it's dangerous. But think about what we could achieve. Clean energy for all, an end to famine, disease. Imagine a world where humanity isn't limited by the constraints of nature. We can control our own evolution." Marek shook his head, still uneasy. "I just don't want to see this fall into the wrong hands. You know how governments are, they'll weaponize it." Elara smiled faintly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "That's why we're doing this, Marek. to make sure the future of humanity isn't dictated by fear and destruction. We're creating something that can uplift humanity, not destroy it. Outside the lab, however, the world was less idealistic. While Elara and her team worked towards a brighter future, tensions between global superpowers simmered. Leaders were growing anxious about what they perceived as threats from the unknown, and rumors of new technologies only fueled their paranoia. As the experiment reached its final stages, a strange signal interrupted their progress. Elara stared at the screen, her heart skipping a beat. The signal was not human. "Marek," she whispered, eyes wide with disbelief, this isn't from Earth." Before they could react, the laboratory's lights dimmed, and the air filled with an eerie hum. A shimmering, translucent object appeared in the center of the room, hovering silently. It was an alien drone, small, sleek, and otherworldly. For a moment, no one moved, caught between fear and wonder. Elara stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Who are you?" she asked, though she knew the machine would not answer. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was this an emissary from another world? A scout? A threat? Marek tugged at her sleeve, his voice urgent. "We need to leave now. We don't know what it's capable of." But Elara shook her head, fascinated. "No, Marek. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Contact with an alien intelligence. We need to understand it, not run from it." The drone whirred softly, as if in response to her words, and then shot a beam of light towards one of their machines. Data flooded the screens as the drone scanned their equipment, absorbing information about the groundbreaking technology they had developed. Elara watched in awe, realizing that this wasn't just an observation, it was a test. The aliens were evaluating them, assessing whether humans were ready for the next step in their evolution. Back aboard the alien ship, Celtron and his team observed the drone's findings with increasing alarm. The data revealed that humanity's technological advancements were accelerating far beyond their previous expectations. The humans had already begun to manipulate the very fabric of their reality, something Celtron's people had achieved only after millions of years. "They're evolving too fast," Nalek growled, his eyes narrowing at the screen. "We need to stop this before they become a threat." Celtron, however, was less certain. He had always believed that humans held untapped potential, but this was beyond anything he had anticipated. A species that could manipulate reality itself. What would they become in a few hundred years? In a few thousand? "This isn't a threat," Celtron said, more to himself than to Nalak. "This is a leap forward, a leap no species has ever made this quickly." Nalak turned to him, his expression dark. "And that's exactly why they're dangerous. We cannot allow them to continue like this." But Celtron remained silent, his mind whirling with possibilities. Humanity was on the brink of something incredible, something no species had ever achieved so quickly. They had the potential to change the galaxy, but would that change be for better or worse? Back in the lab, the alien drone vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Elara and her team in stunned silence. The implications of what had just occurred were staggering. Contact had been made, and the future was now more uncertain than ever. But Elara, filled with hope and excitement, knew one thing for certain: humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The alien drone's sudden disappearance left Dr. Elara and her team in a state of shock. The room, still humming with residual energy, felt eerily quiet. Marek broke the silence, his voice shaking slightly. What just happened? Was that really alien?" Elara nodded slowly, her mind racing. "Yes, Marek. And not just alien. It was here for a reason. They scanned our work. They know what we're capable of now." The enormity of her words weighed on everyone in the room. For centuries, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now, not only did they have confirmation of extraterrestrial life, but that life had been watching them, observing their progress, and now they had made contact. Elara's excitement was tempered by a deep unease. The drone hadn't attacked them, but it hadn't exactly offered an olive branch either. "They know we've advanced," she said, more to herself than to her team. "But what do they want? Why reveal themselves now?" Marek was less optimistic. Maybe it was a warning. Maybe they don't like what we're doing here. Before Elara could respond, a soft beeping alerted them to new data flooding in. The drone had left a parting gift, detailed schematics of alien technology, blueprints that far surpassed anything humanity had ever seen. Elara's eyes widened as she scanned the data. This is beyond us," she murmured, her fingers trembling over the keyboard. "But if we can understand it." Marek looked over her shoulder, equally awed and terrified. What if they're testing us? Seeing how far we can go? Or worse, what if they want us to use this and then wipe us out once we're a threat? Elara's gaze hardened. "We don't have a choice, Marek. This is our moment. If we don't push forward, we'll always be at their mercy. If they're testing us, we have to prove we're ready." While Elara and her team wrestled with the implications of the alien data, far above Earth, Celtron sat in silence aboard the observation ship. His mind churned with conflicting thoughts. The humans were advancing at an unprecedented rate, too fast, even for a species as resilient as they were. But there was something else, something that had been gnawing at him since they made contact. He had seen it in the way Dr. Elara had looked at the drone, in the way her mind worked. Curiosity, determination, a refusal to back down, even in the face of the unknown. Nulak interrupted his thoughts with a scowl. "You see, they're already using the technology we left them. They're reckless. They're going to become a problem, and soon." Celtron didn't respond immediately, his eyes fixed on the image of Elara working furiously in the lab. "What if they're not a problem?" he said quietly. "What if they're an opportunity?" Nulak's voice was sharp. "An opportunity for what? To let another species surpass us? To let them become a threat to the galaxy?" Celtron turned to him, his expression calm but resolute. "What if they could be more? What if humanity could succeed where we and so many others have failed?" Nulak laughed bitterly. "You think these humans, with their wars and their chaos, are capable of anything beyond destruction. You're deluding yourself, Celtron." But Celtron wasn't so sure. He had seen species rise and fall, watched civilizations build themselves up only to crumble under the weight of their own ambitions. But humanity was different. They adapted, they survived, and now they were evolving faster than anyone could have predicted. "I'm going down there," Celtron said suddenly. Nulak froze, his eyes narrowing. "You can't be serious." "I am," Celtron replied, his voice steady. "We've observed them from afar for too long. I need to see them up close. I need to understand what makes them so different." Nulak stepped forward, blocking his path. "You're putting yourself in danger for nothing. They're primitives. What do you expect to learn from them?" Celtron's gaze was unwavering. Everything. Without waiting for Nulak's response, Celtron activated the ship's cloaking technology and descended toward Earth. He landed in a remote area, far from the prying eyes of humans. With a simple shift of thought, his alien form changed, adapting to blend in with the humans. His appearance now mirrored that of a man in his 30s, nondescript enough to go unnoticed. He made his way toward Elara's lab, his steps quiet as he approached the entrance. The security systems were child's play to bypass with his advanced technology. Slipping inside, he watched from the shadows as Elara continued to study the alien data. Her brow was furrowed in concentration, her mind working faster than any human Celtron had ever observed. For hours, he observed her and her team. He saw the fear in Marek's eyes, the excitement in Elara's, and the determination in both. They weren't just using the alien technology, they were understanding it, integrating it with their own ideas. In a few short hours, they had made leaps that should have taken centuries. Celtron felt a surge of something he hadn't felt in millennia. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, these humans were different. Perhaps they were the key to something greater than anyone had imagined. But as he stood in the shadows, watching the humans work, He couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Nulak wasn't wrong. Humanity's rapid evolution was dangerous. The rest of the galaxy wouldn't sit idly by while a new power rose. Celtron knew that soon, a choice would have to be made. Would humanity be allowed to evolve and reach their full potential, or would they be stopped before they could become a threat? He only hoped he would make the right decision before it was too late. Celtron's secret visit to Earth had given him much to ponder, but as he returned to the observation ship, the tension among the crew was palpable. Nulak's discontent had grown into a fiery opposition, and whispers among the crew hinted at deeper fractures within the alien council. Celtron, however, was focused on what he had seen. The humans were evolving at a rate that even his people, the ancient Corinthians, could barely comprehend. What should have taken millennia was happening in mere decades. Yet, instead of chaos, Celtron saw creativity, adaptation, and a resilience that far exceeded any other species they had encountered. Nulak, however, was not swayed. He stormed into the council chamber, his voice seething with urgency. "We need to act now," he shouted, slamming his fist on the crystalline table that flickered with star maps of the galaxy. "The humans are growing too quickly. They've already started integrating the technology we left them. It's only a matter of time before they become a threat to the galaxy." Celtron, standing at the opposite end of the chamber, watched silently as Nulak continued his rant. The other council members murmured in agreement, fear creeping into their eyes as they listened to Nulak's warnings. The Corinthians had seen this pattern before. Species that advanced too quickly, unchecked, often led to destruction. But Celtron couldn't shake what he had seen on Earth. These humans were different. "We've been through this before, Celtron," Nulak growled, turning to face him. "Every time we've allowed a species to grow beyond their limits, it has ended in war, chaos, and ruin. Why should these humans be any different? If anything, they're more dangerous than any species we've encountered." Celtron stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Because they adapt. They evolve in ways we didn't anticipate. Yes, they are chaotic, but within that chaos is potential, a potential we've never seen before." Nulak scoffed. "Potential or destruction? You saw what happened with the Zorikans. They developed faster than we expected, and they nearly wiped out half the galaxy in their thirst for power. The Worms were no better. Once they realized their hive minds could dominate entire planets, they spread like a plague. We cannot allow another species to rise unchecked." Celtron clenched his jaw. The humans are not like the Zorikans or the Worms. They don't seek domination. They seek understanding. In their chaos, they build, they create, and they survive. The council members looked between Celtron and Nulak, uncertainty hanging in the air. Celtron knew he was fighting an uphill battle. The Corinthians had lived in peace for millions of years by keeping dangerous species in check, ensuring that no single race grew powerful enough to disrupt the balance of the galaxy. But what if this time the galaxy needed disruption? What if the humans were the key to something greater? "I propose we study them further," Celtron said, addressing the council. "We can't make a decision based on fear alone. These humans are on the verge of something unprecedented. Their ability to adapt, to innovate, it could be the very thing that leads the galaxy into a new era." Nulak slammed his fist down again, his patience worn thin. And what happens when they become too powerful? When that innovation leads to weapons capable of wiping us out? You're too blinded by your fascination with them to see the danger. Celtron met Nulak's gaze, his eyes steady. "I'm not blind to the danger, but I also see hope. We've spent millennia watching species rise and fall, always trying to control their fate. What if, this time, we let them control their own?" The council chamber fell silent, the weight of Celtron's words hanging heavy in the air. The other Corinthians shifted uneasily, unsure which path to take. Finally, one of the elders, a being whose form shimmered with ancient energy, spoke. "There is wisdom in both arguments," the elder said, her voice soft but commanding. "But we cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. I propose a compromise. We will continue to observe the humans, but we will not intervene unless they pose a direct threat to the galaxy. In the meantime, we will study their evolution and determine if they truly are the anomaly Zeltron believes them to be. Nalek bristled at the decision but remained silent. Zeltron, though not fully satisfied, nodded in agreement. It was not the resolution he had hoped for, but it was a step in the right direction. He could continue to observe humanity, to learn from them, and perhaps, in time, prove to the Council that they were more than just a dangerous experiment. Back on Earth, Dr. Elara's lab buzzed with activity. The alien technology had opened new doors for humanity, and her team was making unprecedented breakthroughs. But as they delved deeper into the mysteries of the alien blueprints, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She had never been one to believe in conspiracy theories, but after the encounter with the alien drone, nothing seemed impossible. "Marek," she said one evening as they pored over the latest data, "do you ever get the feeling that this is all too much? Like we're moving too fast?" Marek looked up from his workstation, a frown creasing his brow. "I think we're on the edge of something incredible, Elara. But yeah, it does feel like we're walking a tightrope sometimes." Elara nodded, her thoughts drifting to the alien drone and what it had meant for them. Humanity was evolving faster than anyone had anticipated, but was that a blessing or a curse? She pushed the thought aside and focused on the task at hand. Whatever was coming, they had to be ready. As the days passed, Zeltron watched from his ship, studying the humans more closely than ever before. He had to admit, Nalak's warnings were not without merit. Humanity's advancements were accelerating, and with every step forward, the risk of conflict grew. But Zeltron saw something else, something that gave him hope. In their moments of greatest challenge, the humans came together. They built, they innovated, and they survived. The tipping point was fast approaching, and when it came, Zeltron knew the fate of both humanity and the galaxy would hang in the balance. The winds of change were sweeping across Earth, and humanity stood on the precipice of a new era. In Dr. Elara Pace's lab, the alien technology was no longer a mystery but a tool, one that allowed humans to manipulate energy, matter, and biology in ways they had only dreamed of. Elara and her team had made leaps that surpassed centuries of progress in mere months. But with such power came consequences. Governments across the globe were scrambling to control the new technology. Some sought to harness it for peace, while others viewed it as the ultimate weapon. The race for dominance had begun, and the world's political tensions flared dangerously. News of the breakthrough had leaked to the public, and protests erupted in major cities, some hailing Elara as a visionary, others fearing that she had opened Pandora's box. In her lab, Elara worked tirelessly, her thoughts racing faster than her hands could keep up. Marek stood beside her, his face drawn with worry. "Elara," he began, his voice low, "we're on the verge of losing control. You've seen the reports. Countries are mobilizing their forces, if we don't find a way to unite them." "I know," Elara cut him off, not looking up from her work. Her mind was consumed by the possibilities. The alien technology could solve all of humanity's problems: energy, disease, food shortages, but it could just as easily be turned into the most devastating weapon in history. She had seen how quickly fear could spread among world leaders, and it scared her. The door to the lab slid open, and a figure stepped inside. Elara looked up, her breath catching in her throat. It was a man she had never seen before, but there was something familiar about him. His presence was calm, yet commanding. "Who are you?" Elara asked, her voice sharper than she intended. The man smiled, his eyes gleaming with intelligence. "My name is Zeltron," he said simply, "and I'm here to help." Marek moved protectively closer to Elara, his brow furrowing. "Help? We don't even know who you are. How did you get in here?" Zeltron ignored the question, his gaze fixed on Elara. "You've come far, Dr. Pace. Farther than any species I've ever encountered. But you're at a crossroads now. The choices you make in the coming days will determine not only the fate of your world, but the fate of the galaxy. Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you talking about?" she asked, though deep down she knew this was no ordinary man. Celtron stepped forward, his expression softening. "I'm not from your world. I am one of the Corinthians, an ancient species that has been watching over Earth for millennia. We've guided countless civilizations, but none have evolved as quickly or as unpredictably as yours." Merrick's eyes widened in disbelief. "You're an alien." Celtron nodded. "Yes, and right now, there are those among my people who believe your species is too dangerous to be allowed to continue. They fear your rapid evolution. They believe you will one day become a threat to the galaxy." Ilara's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "And you? What do you believe?" Celtron smiled faintly. "I believe in your potential. I've watched humanity struggle, adapt, and overcome challenges that would have destroyed most other species. You are resilient, creative, and most importantly, you are capable of change." Ilara felt a flicker of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by doubt. "If your people want to stop us, what can we do? We're barely holding our own world together." Celtron's eyes darkened. "That's why I'm here. You don't have much time. The Corinthian Council is divided. Some, like Nalak, want to destroy humanity before you become a threat. But others, myself included, believe there's another way." Ilara stepped forward, her eyes locked on his. "What do you propose?" Celtron took a deep breath. "You need to unite your world. I know it sounds impossible, but the only way to survive what's coming is to show the galaxy that humanity is more than just a chaotic species on the verge of destruction. You need to prove that you can rise above your divisions." Merrick's voice trembled with disbelief. "Unite the world. Have you seen the state we're in? Countries are on the brink of war. People are terrified of what we've created here." Celtron's gaze was unwavering. "I know. But if you don't, there won't be a world left to fight over. My people will intervene, and humanity will not survive." Ilara's mind raced. She knew Celtron was right. The chaos on Earth was spiraling out of control, and unless something changed, they would be their own undoing. But how could they possibly unite the world in time? "There's one more thing," Celtron said, his voice softening. "The technology you've discovered, it's more than just a tool. It's a key to something much greater. If you can harness it correctly, it could be the bridge that unites not only your species but others as well." Ilara stared at him, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you mean?" Celtron gestured to the glowing device on the table. "This technology has the power to create, to heal, to transform, but it also has the power to destroy. How you use it will determine the future of your species. If you can show the world that this power can be used for good, if you can create something that benefits all of humanity, you might just have a chance." Ilara felt a weight settle on her shoulders. The fate of her species was in her hands. The power she and her team had unlocked could either save the world or doom it, and the clock was ticking. "I'll do it," she said finally, her voice filled with determination. "I'll find a way." Celtron nodded, his expression one of quiet approval. "You have my trust, Dr. Pace. But remember, time is short. My people are watching, and they won't wait forever." With that, Celtron turned and left the lab, disappearing as quietly as he had arrived. Ilara stood in the silence, her mind racing with the enormity of the task before her. Merrick placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice filled with uncertainty. "Can we really do this?" Ilara's eyes blazed with resolve. "We have to." Outside, the world teetered on the edge of chaos, but within the lab, a new hope was beginning to take shape. Humanity was ascending, and the choices they made in the coming days would determine whether they would rise to greatness or fall into oblivion. The days that followed were filled with tension and urgency. Dr. Ilara Pace worked around the clock, barely stopping to eat or sleep, her mind focused entirely on the monumental task before her. The alien technology that had once felt like a gift now weighed heavily on her shoulders. The world was watching, waiting for her next move. Governments had already begun to mobilize, their fear of the unknown driving them toward conflict. Elara knew that if she didn't act quickly, humanity would tear itself apart before the aliens even had a chance to intervene. In the heart of her lab, Elara stood before a prototype, a device that could reshape matter at the atomic level, powered by the alien schematics. She had already demonstrated its potential for good, healing injuries, producing limitless clean energy, and even purifying water instantly. But the specter of its destructive capabilities loomed large. If this technology fell into the wrong hands, it could be weaponized, and the consequences would be catastrophic. Marek stood beside her, his face lined with worry. Elara, are you sure about this? You're about to show the world something that could change everything. What if they don't listen? What if they use it for war instead of peace? Ilara's hands shook as she adjusted the controls on the device. I don't know, Marek, she admitted, her voice tight. But what choice do we have? If we don't show them the potential for good, they'll only see it as a threat. Celtron was right. We have to unite them, or we're finished. Marek opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, the lab's security alarms blared. The door slid open, and Celtron entered, his face grim. It's time, he said simply. Elara looked at him, her heart sinking. What do you mean? Celtron stepped forward, his expression unreadable. The council has made its decision. Nulek has convinced enough of the elders that humanity is too dangerous to continue unchecked. The fleet is on its way. Elara felt the blood drain from her face. The fleet? You mean they're coming here, now? Celtron nodded. They will arrive within hours. Nulek intends to erase humanity before you can become a threat to the galaxy. Marek cursed under his breath, panic rising in his voice. We're out of time. Elara's mind raced. She had known this moment might come, but not so soon. The fleet, the Corinthians, were coming to destroy Earth. All her work, all their progress, would be wiped out in an instant unless she could find a way to stop them. Celtron's voice was soft but urgent. There is still a chance. The council is divided. If you can show them that humanity can rise above its flaws, that you can use this technology for peace rather than destruction, they might reconsider. Elara turned to the prototype, her hands trembling. This was it, the moment of truth. She had one chance to prove that humanity was worth saving. One chance to show that they could evolve into something more than a species driven by fear and conflict. With a deep breath, she activated the device. A soft hum filled the air as the machine whirred to life. The energy it emitted was unlike anything Earth had ever seen, pure and radiant. In seconds, the prototype reshaped the materials around it, creating an oasis of clean energy, healing light and renewal. The air felt fresher, the temperature balanced, and the room seemed to glow with a calming warmth. Celtron watched in awe. This is more than I expected. Elara stepped back, her heart pounding. It's not a weapon, it's a solution. This technology can heal the planet, bring people together. It can end wars before they start. Marek's eyes were wide with wonder, but there was fear behind his amazement. But will they listen? Will your people see this and change their minds? Celtron hesitated. I don't know, but I can take this to the council. I'll show them what you've created, and I'll argue for your survival. But you need to show the world the same thing. Elara nodded, her resolve hardening. I'll broadcast it. The whole world will see it. They need to understand that this isn't just another tool of destruction. Before they could act, the ground shook. Marek stumbled, catching himself on the edge of the table. What was that? Celtron's face darkened. The fleet, they've arrived. Outside, the sky above Earth crackled with strange lights as the Corinthian ships emerged from hyperspace. Massive and silent, the ships positioned themselves over key cities around the globe, ready to unleash their devastating power. Panic gripped the streets as people ran, unsure of what was happening. Governments scrambled, military forces primed for action, though nothing could stand against the alien fleet. In the lab, Ilara's heart raced. She grabbed her communicator and began broadcasting the prototype's demonstration to every available channel. Her voice, steady but urgent, filled the airwaves. "People of Earth, this is Dr. Ilara Pace. What you are seeing is not a weapon. It is the key to our survival, our future. We stand at a crossroads. We can choose fear, destruction, and division, or we can choose to come together and use this technology for the good of all humanity." The prototype continued to glow, casting a brilliant light that radiated across the lab. Outside, the first of the alien ships charged its weapons, preparing to fire. The world held its breath. Suddenly, a second signal filled the skies. Celtron's voice. He had hacked into the Corinthian fleet's communications, broadcasting to the entire galaxy. "Council of Elders, people of Earth, listen to me. I have seen what humanity can become. They are not a threat to be feared, but a potential to be nurtured. They have the capacity for both great destruction and great creation, but they have chosen creation. I beg of you, spare them. Let them show us what they can become." There was a long, tense silence. The Corinthian ships hovered ominously, their weapons still primed. Ilara stood frozen, waiting for the end to come. Then, slowly, the lights on the alien ships dimmed, the weapons powered down. The fleet remained in position, but the threat of destruction had passed. Celtron's voice crackled back through the speakers. "They've agreed to a ceasefire. They will observe, for now." Ilara exhaled, her legs nearly giving out from the weight of the moment. Marek let out a nervous laugh, tears of relief in his eyes. "We did it. We actually did it." Celtron smiled, though the tension hadn't fully left his face. "This is only the beginning. You've bought yourselves time. Now you must use it wisely." Ilara nodded, her resolve firm. "We will. Humanity will rise. We'll prove to the galaxy that we can be more." As the alien ships retreated into the depths of space, Ilara and her team stood in the glow of their creation, knowing that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they had made their choice. And now, the future was theirs to shape.